woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on love. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Singing and dancing with my mind stayed on spirit. Singing and dancing with my mind stayed on love. Singing and dancing with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm walking around with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm walking around with my mind stayed on love. I'm walking around with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm living my life with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm living my life with my mind stayed on love. I'm living my life with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on love. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome, everybody. Ooh. Are we okay, Wes? Okay. I told him I had a loud voice. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Toronto. Our theme for 2019 is uplifting service, taking action with love for a better future. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. As an intentional spiritual community, we are a hub for living well. A place for you to be seen, unconditionally loved, and accepted for exactly who you are. Our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. We celebrate community, connection, happiness, wellness, and inspiration. And we embody an understanding of our oneness with all of life. And we consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. We understand that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And our vision statements, say it with me: love only, forgive everything, and remember who you are. So welcome to everybody online. My name is Judy South. I'm a practitioner here at the center. I want to tell you, we also embody an understanding of our oneness, acknowledge spiritual center situated upon traditional territories of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe Nation, Potawatomi Confederacy, and the Mississauga of the New Credit First Nations. We recognize the spiritual mystics and the masters that have walked this earth, leaving their imprint for us to learn from. We embrace the teachings of new thought and ageless wisdom. Welcome to your spiritual home. And if you're here for the first time, anybody here for the first time? Willing to put their hand up? We have a gift for you. Thank you for joining us. Who has a welcome package? Would you? Okay. Nick, could you get a welcome package? One person new? Okay, thank you. Thank you. And we have some announcements. First of all, Reverend Helen has her prayer gathering every Monday morning at 8 o'clock to 8:15. You can go on Zoom. Go on our website and you can just connect to Zoom. You may have to download it if you haven't done this already. I hear it's absolutely wonderful. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. See you there. And the next one? The book of the month for August is White Fragility. And it talks about why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. Very pertinent to today. And another announcement. Oh, game night this Friday. Yay! 7 to 9. BYOD. I think D is for drink. And we will have some snacks provided. So bring a friend, bring your kids, have some fun playing Trouble and Battleship and Uno and Chinese checkers and Operation and more. And I love euchre. And the next one? What is the next evolution of CSL Toronto? Join us on Sunday, that's next Sunday, August the 11th, for a strategic visioning session and a focus group, 12:30 to 2:30. We would love your input. We would love the input from our community. So if you can join us, we'd love to have you. And Wednesday night, starting September the 4th, because meditation is so vital for our awakening. Meditation starts again September the 4th, 7 to 7:30. It's free to attend, and it's followed by, the next slide, a new class, How to Improve Your Life Using New Thought Principles, the principles that we study, the philosophy that we study here. And it starts Wednesday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock, right after the meditation. And it'll go for an hour and a half, and it's $10 a class, and it can be seen as a drop-in. It isn't something you have to sign up for permanently, or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And so the theme for September's class is Creating Financial Abundance. We can all use a bit of that, I'm sure. And, what is the date here? September the 13th, thank you, it's hard to see. David Hickey is back for his Crystal Journey. He was here twice last year. It was absolutely brilliant. Please join us. It's $30. You can sign up online or, for now, in the Live Well store, because the next slide might tell us a little bit more. The Live Well store, everything is 25% off, so it's Christmas in August. What a thought. Christmas in August. Sorry. But it is 25% off. And the next slide. And lastly, but not leastly, please help us to spread the love through various options on social media. And so, please stand up and join us all for the community song, We Breathe the Same Air.
Generation breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. Say that I'm out of touch with the times. The world is no place for a vision like mine. But still I can see it, I still can believe it. There's no many lives on the line. There's so many lives on the line. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, kiss the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, kiss the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. You and I.
Wow. That has to be one of my favorite New Thought songs. And welcome back, Maya. You're back here a second time, and I see Brendan's back. And we have Dom and Jared and Brian and Carrie here to join us, to play for us, to pray with us with their music. Thank you so much. We're going to get a little quieter now as Maya sings our invocation song, I Am Loved.
You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete, you are loved. You are loved. You are seen. You are heard. You are loved for who you are. You are enough. You are complete. You are loved. You are loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am loved for who I am. There is nothing I need to change. I am loved. I am loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am loved for who I am. There is nothing I need to change. I am loved. I am seen.
You are part of the universal mind, one with the universal substance. You live, move, and have your being in pure spirit. All the wealth, power, and goodness of this spirit exist at the center of your being. You experience this good in such degree as you accept it, believe in and feel it. It is done to you as you believe. And as you live your life feeling this divine presence in everything more and more, you will hear a song of joy singing at the center of your being. You have only to be still and listen to this song of life, for it is always there. Know that the presence is always closer to you than your breath. Feel this loving protection around you. Tune out of your mind all unhappy and negative ideas and hear only the song of joy, the song of love, the song of peace. Turn your thoughts into brightness and laughter and into the joyous presence of radiant spirit. Let the law of divine love operate through all your affairs. Anticipate greater abundance, more success in life, and deeper peace. Open your heart wide with gratitude for all your blessings. Let it all be so, and so it is. And so now we have the pleasure of listening and seeing our two lead practitioners, Carrie Garnier and Charose Morali.
Thank you, thank you. I'm actually going to just put this over to the side here. So the new theme is Say Yes to Freedom, so I felt completely free to do something completely different.
And then put the stand back. I'm just thinking it's way back there, I'm not sure.
So we have, I have Charose with me today. I helped a friend of mine with she's working on her doctorate of ministry, and she had a project. Wes, can you turn off? There we go. And so she needed people to help her with her project. So she was getting people from her community. I was putting it out to some people I knew here. So Nick and Charose and I went to do this with her. And her project was learning scripture by heart. So we're going to do some Bible today. I know, right? But it wasn't just memorizing it. It was literally taking scripture into heart and being with it and breathing it and meditating it and wondering on it and discussing it and letting see how it transformed us and we transformed it. And out of the whole frickin' Bible, with all the stories, independently, Charose and I chose the same one. I know, right? So it was meant to be spoken, and I talked to Helen, and I said, can we do this here? And she said, of course you can, and it's perfect, because there is only one mind. It is perfect on Say Yes to Freedom. So I'm actually, I will let you know it's called, no, I want to be over here. It's called, it's about Jesus and the woman of Samaria. So many of you may not know this story. And Charose is going to start it for us. Here you go.
Thank you. So yes, we're telling the story that is John 4 to 26. Jesus came to a Samaritan city called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Joseph's well was there, and Jesus, tired out by his journey, sat by the well. It was noon. A Samaritan woman came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, are asking a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" For Jews did not share things in common with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, you would have asked me, 'Give me a drink,' and I would have given you living water." The woman says, "Sir, where do you get that water? You have no bucket. The well is deep. Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who with his sons and flocks drank from this well?" Jesus said to her, "Those who drink of this water will be thirsty again, but the water that I will give them will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life." The woman said, "Sir, give me this water so that I may never be thirsty, and so that I do not have to come to this well to draw water."
And Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come back." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." And Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband. What you say is true." The woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you say the place where people must worship is Jerusalem." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know. But the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship God must worship in spirit and truth." And the woman asked him, or told him, "Sir, I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ, and when he comes, he will proclaim all things to us." And Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking to you." So that's the part of the story we memorized. Thank you, Sharos. The story goes on, and the disciples come back, and the woman goes back to Samaria and brings people to learn from Jesus. And this is a phenomenal story. This is, I think, a story about awakening to freedom. So the first thing that's really amazing about this story is that Jesus is speaking to a woman who is by herself, which would have been against the law at that time because he was a rabbi. And the second amazing thing about this story is that she is a full participant in this discussion. Right? She is strong and she wants to know, and she's bearing herself in front of him, and he knows her and he sees her. This is a full discussion, and he chooses her, despite the fact that she's probably an outcast from her society, to bring his word to the country of Samaria. And he's demonstrating that we must awaken. He says, "Those who drink of the water that I give will never be thirsty. The water that I give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life." Does that not sound like freedom? Does that not sound like freedom? And the more we are knowing who we are and connecting to our indwelling eternal spirit, our eternal spring, the more we are never thirsty. And there's more. Jesus goes on to talk about how we have to change how we are doing things to make this happen, right? "The hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on the mountain nor in Jerusalem," right? We have to break through the religious dogmas that are entrenched in us, right? Worship happens not here or there. It happens everywhere. and at all times. We are living worship. That's what we do. That's who we are. So I see these as the beginning steps towards spiritual freedom. So because spiritual practice, it's a conversation. It's an ongoing relationship with the divine. And 2,000 years later, we are beginning to get this, right? We are beginning to see that each of us is the perfect expression of the divine. And it's so important that we cultivate our connection to the divine because we are a part of that divine. And as we more fully get this, knowing who we are, the less we are pulled this way and that way by external circumstances. And then we begin to experience true freedom. So that's my talk on that. Yeah. So we have a new affirmation for the month. I'll say it one time, and then we'll all say it together. I am willing to receive my good. Let's say that together. I am willing to receive my good. And just allow yourselves to sink into your chair. Congratulations, you survived Scripture. And just become aware of the breath going in and out, this perfect gift between the divine and the individual, this perfect expression of life, the breath of freedom. Knowing right here and right now that each and every one of us is showing up perfectly as they are in this moment. And as we sink into this moment, knowing we are perfect as we are, we connect to a bit more bravery, a bit more ability to continue to be exactly who we are in this moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. Taking this knowing further and further every day for a little bit longer, remaining with the divine that is in us, each and every one of us. Allowing it to become the breath of who we are, the life of who we are, because there is only God, there is only Spirit, right here and right now, expressing perfectly as the faces of God. I am so grateful for this knowing, for these teachings, so grateful for the many masters that went before us, delivering the word in ways we could understand, making it easier and easier as we lived lighter and lighter into enlightenment. With this full heart of gratitude, I release these words as law, knowing they are done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Carrie and Sharose. As I was speaking quietly, I thought, over on the other side, apparently I wasn't so quiet. My mic was still on. Politicians have been caught in stuff like that. Everything I said was good. So no harm done. So let's enjoy our feature song with our guest vocalist Maya, singing Everything New by Daniel Namod.
Bring it on, everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through crying, I'm through waiting, I'm through hoping against all hope. I'm through longing for something gone that'll never return. I think I finally learned to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, and I know it's gonna be everything new. And I'm through grieving, I'm through dreaming that the life I had is coming back, and no more wishing on someone else's star that'll never be mine. I think it's time to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, and I know it's gonna be everything new. And I've survived many times before, broken hearts and slamming doors, and I'll be alright, yes I will, once more, just like I did back then. I'm gonna rise again, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, and I know it's gonna be everything new. So bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do, and I know it's gonna be everything new. And I know it's gonna be everything new.
Oh my, what a gift. What a gift you are. Thank you so much. The whole band, our whole band is such a gift for us. I love our music. I love our band. I love our vocalists. Thank you. To be or not to be, that is the choice. To be free or not to be free, the choice is ours. And our theme this month of August is awakening to our freedom. Ernest Holmes, our founder of this philosophy that we study, the science of mind, he was a mystic. And he wasn't only a mystic, he had a beautiful way of expressing himself in words. There's a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it? No, okay, it's just me. Oh, okay, I'm okay with it then. He wasn't just a mystic, he had a beautiful way of expressing himself in words. He was a poet, and his writings are filled with his poetic language. And here's what he says about freedom. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. And all instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law, and that would be spiritual law. So freedom is spiritual. It is of God, the divine living spirit, and it is felt deep within our soul. and it's the birthright of every living soul, and it is your birthright. And he goes on to say, in the same quote, thus the inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. Now we do well to listen to its inner voice, for it tells us of a life, wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. So this inherent nature of man, this inner voice, belongs to our innermost being. And freedom gives voice to our soul, and it gives life to us. And freedom is really the oxygen of the soul. We spiritual beings having this human experience on this plane of existence, we need freedom. And one of the ways to free our souls is by meditation. And as I was reading, preparing for this talk, I found a group called the Light Age Masters. And they said this about freedom and about meditation. Meditation brings us freedom. It takes us back to our source. It burns our karmas. Through meditation, we can see all the falsehood in and around us. So what I know, that meditation is one of our greatest gifts. It is always available to us, and it's our choice to use it and participate. So there's a Buddhist spiritual teacher who runs meditation retreats. His name is Larry Yang, and he says also along the lines of this thought, with each moment of practice, that would be meditation practice, we begin to shatter the glass ceilings that confine our self-image and self-worth with the unconsciousness of the larger society and our own internalized messages of self-judgment that have imposed on us for our erroneous thoughts about ourselves, that is. And each step we take in our mindfulness practice is a step toward our collective freedom. So spiritual leaders, many spiritual leaders, speak about the power of meditation and the freedom it gives us. Yogananda says, freedom means the power to act by soul guidance, not by the compulsions of desires and habits. Obeying the ego brings bondage. Obeying the soul brings liberation. So how do we know about our soul guidance? And how do we know if we're listening to our ego or obeying our soul? Well, that's what the stillness of meditation helps us to clarify. Meditation helps us to clear external distractions and to go within. And we get to recognize what feels right and what feels good and what feels like love. And we get to recognize what doesn't resonate, what makes us uncomfortable. So we offer meditation before service every Sunday. And it's a time to be still and listen to our soul's message, and a time to obey our soul. Reverend Helen offers Monday morning prayer, which is very meditative itself, online at 8 o'clock for 15 minutes. It's a great way to start the week. Am I on? Thank you. Technology, eh? It's a great way to start the week, said the one who hasn't participated yet on Monday morning. I have to confess that I haven't taken advantage of this offering, but my intention tomorrow morning, because it's the long weekend and a holiday Monday, I will be there at 8 o'clock, so come and join me. All you have to do is sign on to Zoom to be a part of Helen's Monday morning prayer gathering. And I've heard from everybody that it's wonderful. Of course, we develop our own daily meditation practice on our own time. But you know, there's great power in a group gathering. And I need the energy amplified, and it has even greater benefits. So I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8, right? We say that meditation helps us to become free as we let go of the external world. So freedom really is an inner experience. We all have the power to release ourselves from bondage, all the chains that bind us, the invisible chains that we think are real, the chains of fear and anxiety and self-judgment and all these erroneous thoughts of limitation that we keep falling into. We all do this. They are false and they're only illusions. And it's not who we are. So we want to remember who we are, not dwell on who we are not. Dwelling on the past will always hold us back. We are not our past. The past will always keep us in bondage. And bondage is not God ordained, says Ernest Holmes. Freedom is the divine plan, and it is our birthright. We are free simply because we exist. So develop a daily meditation practice if you haven't already. It doesn't have to be fancy or mysterious, just consistent, and watch your life change. So these chains of fear we've all experienced. Fear limits us and holds us down. And I saw a quote online. What would we do without the internet? My goodness. An American journalist, Soledad O'Brien, said, "I have learned that fear limits you and your vision. It serves as blinders to what just may be a few steps down the road. The journey is valuable, but believing in your talents, your abilities, and your self-worth can empower you to walk down an even brighter path, transforming fear into freedom. How great is that?" she says, or she asks. So the way to transform freedom from fear is to embrace more love. If we have more love, we can reduce and eliminate fear. If we embrace the idea of peace, we can release the feeling of confusion. All that is negative can be healed by a spiritual realization of what is true. Love and peace and harmony and power, beauty, these are all aspects of truth with a capital T. And we know in Scripture it says, the truth shall make you free. Freedom is a state of consciousness, and it is a choice. There's a book we've all heard about, and it's called The Four Agreements, and many of you have read it. And the agreement that made the biggest difference for me over the years is the second agreement. And the author, Don Miguel Ruiz, says of this agreement, there is a huge amount of freedom that comes to you when you take nothing personally. How hard is that to do? When you come to the realization that everything we see and say comes from within us, so it is with others. Nothing that anybody says or does is because of you. It is because of themselves. And what others say is because of their programming. It has nothing to do with you. So think of an event in your life right now, maybe a relationship, a personal relationship with somebody, or at work, a work-related, or a family or a friend, an event that caused a lot of emotion and a lot of heat between you and someone else, someone who pushed your buttons. Anybody have anybody who's pushed their buttons? Now step back and see that event from a distance. Detach from the emotion and from the actions and the reactions. And ask yourself these questions. Who took the action that triggered the drama? And that's all it is a drama. What actions did you take? And what was the result of your actions? And did you take anything personally? And if you did, what might have happened if you didn't take anything personally? And what might have happened if the other person had not taken anything personally? How would this event have turned out if no one took anything personally and just let everything be? So try thinking about these questions next time someone pushes your buttons. I remember taking a communications training course about 20 plus years ago, and it's not the kind of communication where they say you stand this way and you look that way and you say these words and you say that words and you don't have your lectern too low or too high or whatever. It was about being authentic. We are all unique. It was about believing in ourselves and expressing ourselves naturally in our own unique way. So we're all unique and we don't need to be like anybody else. And one of the exercises we did was to have 6 of us stand together in a kind of a horseshoe shape. And one person would stand at the head of the group, and one by one, each member would come up and take a turn at facing the one in the middle and pay compliments and insults to us. Things like, "You were wrong to say that," or "You are such an amazing person," or "I think you're a jerk," or that's not true what you said, or you're so compassionate. All different things. And the one receiving the comments would listen and say, if it was a negative comment, and say, I can see why you would say that, and I'd like to talk to you about that sometime. And if it was a positive comment, we would simply say thank you. No judgment, no emotion, no offense, no feeling, no agreement. It was an exercise in detaching from the emotion, from the heat and the drama. And this was when I first heard about the book, The 4 Agreements, and to never take anything personally. It changed my life, and it was a great exercise. So whenever someone compliments me, I always say, oh, it takes one to know one. Because I know that whatever that person sees in me is something that is in them. It's not really about me. And the same goes for if someone says you're a jerk, I know it has nothing to do with me, so I don't react. Someone's laughing here. I wonder if that's been happening to them. I never take offense because I see they are speaking through their own inner self-judgment. And that's why it is said, when we judge someone, we are reflecting our own self-judgment onto another. It all comes from us. We see ourselves. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. So understanding that idea that we see, what we see is who we are, helps us to know ourselves, to understand who we are. And our mission statement asks us to remember who we are. You are an expression of spirit in human form. Spirit as God or universal intelligence expresses as you. And this truth is a step towards your freedom. One of our modern day mystics, who is very close to us, Reverend Dr. James Mellon at the Global Truth Center, another Center for Spiritual Living Center in Los Angeles, said this last week in his talk. You have to know who you are in order to use what you are. The problem, he says, is not, do we have the power? The problem is, do we know we have the power? We may think of ourselves as humans searching and searching for our spiritual awakening. And the truth is, we are spiritual beings undergoing a human awakening right here and right now. And as we begin to see ourselves from the perspective of spirit within, it helps us to remember why we are here and what we are here to do. Once we remember who we are, we can go about the work. We have work to do on this planet, the work of creating a world that works for everyone. And that would mean seeing the divine in everyone, no matter what they say. Seeing through the eyes of love and not fear, or any of what I call fear babies. Any feeling and emotion associated with fear, feelings that are based in fear and that are negative, like anger and jealousy. That's the challenge, and that's the journey, and that's the choice. We are always at choice. We can make new choices if we find our choices don't serve us well. So I have a short story about a tiger and a painter. And it illustrates the connection between freedom and our soul. Once upon a time, there was a colorless tiger living in a cage. All his shades were grays and blacks and whites, so much so that he seemed like something out of an old black and white movie. His lack of color made him so famous that the world's famous painters had come to his zoo to try to put some color on him. None of them succeeded, as the colors would always just drip off his skin. Then along came Van Gogh, not to be confused with Van Gogh or Van Gogh. Along came Van Gogh, the crazy painter. He was a strange guy who traveled all about, happily painting with his brush. Well, it would be more accurate to say that he moved his brush around as if to paint, because he never put any paint on his brush. And he never used any canvas or paper. He painted the air. And that's why they called him Van Gogh. So when he said he wanted to paint the colorless tiger, everyone had a really good laugh. And when entering the tiger's cage, he began whispering in the animal's ear and moving his dry brush up and down the tiger's body. And to everyone's surprise, the tiger's skin and fur started to take on color. And these were the most vivid colors any tiger had ever had. Van Gogh spent a long time whispering to the animal and making slight adjustments to his painting, and the result was really beautiful. Everyone wanted to know what the painter's secret was, and he explained to them that his brush was only good for painting real life, and that to do that he needed no colors. He managed to paint the tiger using a phrase he kept whispering in his ear. And here's what he said: "In just a few days, you will be free again. You shall see." And seeing how the tiger had been in his captivity, and how sad the tiger had been in his captivity, and how joyful the tiger now seemed at the prospect of freedom, the zoo authorities transported him to the forest and set him free, where he never again would lose his color. And so it is with us. Like the tiger, the prospect of freedom transforms our sadness or whatever negative feelings we have to joy. We no longer live colorless lives like living in a cage in our self-created captivity. We did have some help from our early programming, mind you. We no longer live colorless lives when we choose to be free, which we can always do. Our lives take on a joy. Our lives take on a life beyond our expectations, a life of joy and peace and love, a life where we will never lose our color, our vibrancy, our aliveness, a life of freedom which our soul craves. We might say that Van Gogh, the painter, was speaking to the tiger's soul. He wasn't covering over the external with a brush. He wasn't cosmetically covering up. He went within. He didn't need paint, which is external. He used words, powerful words. Words have power. We speak to our souls when we pray and when we meditate, and we paint our lives with the brush of spirit. When we are still, we hear the whisper of the divine, assuring us of who we are. Viktor Frankl once said, "It's the spiritual freedom which cannot be taken away that makes life meaningful and purposeful." These words from a man who suffered in the Holocaust, who survived the Holocaust, suffered greatly in prison, and who exercised his most important freedom. He chose to choose his own attitude and his own spiritual well-being, the kind of strength and freedom that meditation can bring us. He went on to create a marvelous life filled with color and vibrancy and aliveness. Shakespeare's Hamlet struggled in his anxiety about who he was and what he should do after his father was murdered by the new king, who was now married to his mother, the queen. In his desperation and confusion, he says, "To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them." While we suffer our own slings and arrows when we allow ourselves to be controlled by outside forces, other people's opinions, and our own false thoughts, like feeling guilty and anxiety and fear. We can eliminate our own sea of troubles by going within and becoming conscious and engaging in right thinking. And as Ernest Holmes tells us, and we hear often, to know how to think is to know how to live. Holmes also tells us to daily meditate on the perfect life and to daily embody the great ideal is a royal road to freedom. So when we do the work, we're on our way to spiritual freedom. We release our limiting past and we choose a meaningful present. We become authentic and express ourselves as who we really are. We remember who we are and we recognize our power. A Jungian analyst, James Hollis, talks about the subconscious forces that affect us and holding us back from being our authentic selves. And he asks, what does guilt and shame or betrayal make us do or keep us from doing? Do we behave in ways that are self-sabotaging? Are we making excuses for choices that feel unfulfilling? Reflecting on these questions opens the possibility for us of greater freedom and can awaken us to freedom. And he advises that when we respond to these questions, we move beyond our old story. We've all got a story. We've got many stories. I have a story. As long as we are controlled by our past, we don't live from our own free choice. So I invite you now to claim your spiritual freedom. Release your limiting past and live your life beyond your expectations, where you never lose your color or your aliveness. So I told you Ernest Holmes was a poet. I'm going to close with a poet that he wrote about freedom. He speaks to his soul. And he says, or writes, "O soul of mine, look out and see, look up and know thy freedom. Be not cast down nor dismayed, be uplifted with me and exult, for thy salvation has come. Behold the wonders of the great whole and the marvels of the universe. Look out and see thy good. It is not far off, but is at hand. Prepare thyself to accept and believe, to know and to live. Let life enter and live through thee, soul of mine, and rejoice that thou hast visions so fair and so complete. Rejoice that the perfect whole is so completely reflected through thee. My light has come." So know that we all have the key to free ourselves, whatever that may be, whatever may be blocking us from living our best life, our free life, and our life filled with color. That key is our conscious thought. Freedom is a state of consciousness. Our spiritual freedom is up to us. We are at choice. So to be or not to be, that is the choice. Namaste. And so this is the time in our service that we give back to the center. So I invite you to take whatever monetary offering you have for the center, to hold it close to your heart. And those of you online, please feel free to donate to press the donate button. We appreciate everyone's donation. And we're going to stand up and sing and sway to the music if we don't know it. It is the Prosperity Chant by Karen Drucker.
What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good?
Repeat after us.
I deserve it.
Deserve it.
Abundance.
Abundance.
It is mine.
It is mine.
Love
Love
flows through me.
flows through me.
I feel joy
I feel joy
all the
all
time.
the time.
I can have it.
I can have it.
I deserve it. I claim it. It is mine.
It is mine.
I can have it.
I can have it.
I deserve it.
I deserve it.
I claim it.
I claim it.
It is mine. Peace fills my heart. I surrender
Surrender
everything.
everything.
Health
Health
is my birthright.
my birthright.
Passion helps me sing. I can have it. I deserve it. I claim it. It is mine. I can have it. I deserve it. I claim it. It is mine.
Just waiting for you, Lise. I give thanks. I am ever so grateful for the goodness, the good, the joy, the generosity in these baskets that helps this center move forward and create a world that works for everyone, create a world that works for all of us. I give thanks, and in gratitude I let it go, and so it is.
I release and let go.
Let go.
I accept
I accept
what is mine.
what is mine.
I can have
Have
what I want.
what I want.
And spirit,
And spirit,
direct flow.
the flow.
Life is good.
Good.
Life is fun.
Life is fun.
Life is great.
Life is great.
This song is done.
you. Thank you, everyone. Have a few thank yous to give. Thank you, first of all, to the band, and thank you to Maya for coming back to visit us. Thank you to Brendan, you're back, to Dom, to Jared, to Brian, and to Carrie. We love our music, don't we? Thank you to Kim on camera, to Wes on sound, to our shared service team setting up and taking down, and thank you to our lead practitioners, Carrie and Charose. That was brilliant. I see an acting career in your future. Thank you, thank you, Nick, for your brilliant meditation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those of you joining us online, and thank you for your presence here. So our closing song is "It's a Wonderful World." So stand up and sway. It's a little bit it's a soft song. So just stand up and sway and sing "It's a Wonderful World." Have a wonderful week.
Oh, wait, I moved my piano. Here it is.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies cry. I'll watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you.
Have a good week, everybody.